like Daryl stated, we attended the RCMP town hall. I thought it was okay attended. I guess it's funny. I was just surprised there was people there, so I was happy about that. There was quite a few representatives for the RCMP there. They just shared a lot of the same stuff that was shared with us when the fella came the last meeting with stats and telling us about the RCMP app, and we're asking for feedback and questions and things like that. And like Daryl said, there was a lot of rural people there mentioning about the theft in the rural community. June 14th was the cow. June 15th, we had our library board meeting. Some things to note, there's working on the plan of service update. That's going ahead quite well. One thing that I found neat that I didn't know was that now the library offers a free Wi-Fi hub. It's available for our community for free for renting for 1 week at a time. So I thought that was a really cool thing to have for our community. They said the bowling passes are being well utilized, so I thought that was awesome as well. They have an operating grant submitted. They've started an art committee, which is also interesting, and so there will be art shows. I think they said quarterly art shows. There was a discussion of the cleaning of the library, and I think they were bringing it back to CAO Donna to have a discussion on that front about that. There's a whole bunch of summer programming. I was going to bring the page with me to show you all, but it's online as well. They have a lot of cool programming going on for the summer, and things on Fridays. I know the clown was canceled, but there's the neat fiddler that's coming up. They have a reptile show coming up. It looked actually really interesting. The terms are expiring on quite a few of the members, so there's upcoming elections. Some of the key positions, they're not going to be staying, so that's going to be an important thing for the library board to get some people in those key positions. And then they're starting to prepare for the budget in September. June 27th, we had our MLA meeting, which Daryl had stated was about policing and if we had questions, and that was kind of it. And then we had a regular council meeting on the 28th. June 16th was party in the park, and on June 30th, I volunteered for bingo.
Thank you. Question from anybody? Comments? All right, then, Councillor Musson, please.
Well, I think my report is quite similar to Shelley's, actually. So attended all the regular meetings as scheduled. June 15th, the library meeting. As Shelley said, plan of service is ongoing. Provincial operating grant has been submitted. 4 art shows are going to be offered per year. Summer reading program schedule looks very exciting. 2 new computers have been installed. There will be a couple of new board positions come available in the fall. June 23rd, I signed as Commissioner of Oath, and June 27th, the same team meeting regarding policing in the province.
Thank you. Corey, you got a little more?
Oh, I see. Yeah, what I'm doing here, my computer hates this new phone thing, and it won't work. So I actually entered my Gmail account. I was assuming it got lost because it's a weird email. But either way, other than the regular stuff, the only thing that was really relevant, I mean, the regular meetings and the police thing with the minister. Other than that, there was the 23rd. Was the Leduc Foundation governance board, and then regular meeting. The only thing that's really of relevance for us for council purposes is they are looking at the finance committee recommended to the rest of the board that we look for an increase in the municipal requisition. It's been years and years and years and years since that's ever happened. So they are talking about a small increase for the first time in literally a decade. So that probably will be coming along shortly, but there is the delegation coming in August, so I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Corey? Anything, Tom? No? Could I have a motion to recommend the introduction of the council reports.
I'll move the council reports as read.
All in favor? Tracy. 3.2, commercial and residential tax incentives. Say O'Donnell, would you like to comment on that for us?
You bet. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Currently in administration, we're currently following the policies of commercial and residential tax incentives, and there'll be another one coming at the regular meeting at the end of this month. And both policies are there for council's review. And much like other municipalities, they have a tax incentive for both commercial and residential, some just commercial, some just a one-time thing for residential, some for downtown beautification. And administration is of the opinion these two policies require updating and rewriting. Some of the language doesn't make sense. We're not quite sure how to 100% interpret them. We're kind of all in agreement that maybe we just need a commercial policy as opposed to a residential policy. I mean, that's just discussion we're having. It's a difficult balance to the great taxpaying residents and might be vital in a subdivision consideration. And we're just, we're throwing that up for discussion, or robust growth. We did some benchmarking for other small centers to ascertain their policies and bylaws on this matter, and we've attached that document. So basically, we benchmarked around the area, but some smaller ones, for example, town of Panoka, it's a little bigger, but they do 75% reduction on the assessment increase, 50% on the increase in year 2, and 25% in year 3. We're 100, 50, 20, 25. So sometimes they also do major renovation exemptions, that if you finish a basement, build an attached or detached garage, addition to increase the square footage, major kitchen renovations, etc. They do that once a year. They review it every year, and they provide an incentive. And of course, their new build, who build or buy a newly built home in the town of Panoka, they have to occupy the new home with primary residence and enjoy the savings over 3 years. I also talked to them a little bit, and they said they don't offer. It's like if a developer is building new homes, they only offer it for 1 year for the developer, and they have to get people in it. They can't enjoy with someone in it 3 or 4 years with the tax incentives either. Town of Kalmar, of course, developers can defer their property taxes for a period of up to 2 years, penalty free, from the time of submitting the subdivision application, and this is for subdivision. And the developer is responsible for the payment of the outstanding taxes at the time of the subdivided lot. Purchaser builder then can apply for a 2-year property tax deferral. And notice the word deferral here, it's kind of interesting. A little worrisome, but that's what they do. Purchaser builder is responsible for the payment of the arrears at the end of the 2-year period. To us, when we were talking about it, it's a bit of an accounting nightmare for us a little bit. So we want to do that. And there's more, of course. There's a whole lot more, but their funding criteria checklist. So they get a grant of land incentive for a developer or builder, $1,000 per lot, per individual multi-unit lot, $1,000 per unit to a maximum of 5. The home, if a homeowner builds a homeowner grant, for $200,000 on the house, is a $500 grant, and so on down the line. If they're building a $700,000 home, it's a $7,500 grant. And the project has to be located with the town of Kalmar, conform to the bylaws, etc. Then if we move to Nanton, it's a little tiny bit bigger than we are, but it's still further south, and they have passed a bylaw increasing empty lot taxes by 200%. I saw that and I thought, Councilor Gilbert's going to be interested in that one. I'm just teasing.
Well, you can't have people just sit on empty lots forever, it's a problem.
That's exactly why they did it, 100%. I actually, that one caught my eye, and I put it in especially for you, because I thought they have quite a few empty lots, and when they put this increase in, the empty lots started disappearing.
Wow, gotta do something to encourage people.
Yeah, not a detraction from our end for that one. They did a business revitalization and expansion report, and they had economic stagnation that came from vacant non-residential properties that sit without operating businesses year after year. So that's what they did with that 200%. And it targets genuinely vacant non-residential properties with long-standing and offers a quicker route for the owner to be placed either in the other small business property subclasses. They talked about revenue in the vacant non-commercial subclasses, and they transferred public realm improvement reserve fund. They created that for the purpose of funding amenities, infrastructure, and other improvements. So there's that, especially for, businesses that are kind of looking kind of shabby downtown now. It's not too bad actually there right now. Smaller businesses can qualify for municipal tax incentive if any project has a capital cost of more than 200,000, called a Class 1 project. And larger businesses classified to Class A if it has capital cost of more than $1 million. So that's kind of interesting. In the town of Pincher Creek, they have a draft bylaw that stipulates property owners can apply for exemption from the municipal portion of their property taxes if they add new construction or structural improvement worth at least 25,000. So they put a big ceiling on it. And of course, the applications have to go through the CEO's office before coming to council, which makes absolute sense. And then council passes a resolution or refuses. And the applications have to have a notarized statement from a third-party construction firm that the cost of the improvement are accurate, which I thought was very interesting. Because there's nothing worse than I'm building a $25,000 kitchen to get the grant, and it's really just a couple of, pallets and a gallon pail, right? So. Town of Rimby is 100% the first year for commercial, 80 second. And then of course 60 the third, and then $1,000 fee to apply, which I thought was interesting. And they must increase the value of their business and property by $250,000. They have to show proof of title, no encumbrances or caveats on the property. So we brought this forward for discussion. We believe that the both, if you choose to have both policies or you have to be rewritten, we're of a consistent view of that with administration. Again, we're recommending only a commercial and not for as long as it is, but we just want to council have a nice robust discussion about it. And there's also one more, there's a seniors property tax deferral too that they can apply for. And they can defer their taxes. And it's a good program as well. There's lots of municipalities using that, and we can run that potentially through here as well. But the government looks after it. We just defer. So I leave it to council's discussion.
So basically, I don't know what the wishes are going to council, but I think what we need to do is that everybody takes that policy home and rip the heck out of them and put down there what you want to have in there, and then bring it back. We can't vote on this meeting, but then once, I don't know if you need a couple weeks or you want a month.
Whatever we're doing should be sorted out early enough that can be incorporated for budget cycle. So by the time we decide that it needs to be redrafted, then it needs to be adopted, right? We don't want to drag it out too long because it screws us up budget wise, and we're already in the construction season. We don't want to change anything, I don't think, for this year because it's already construction season. Things may already be in the process, but come thaw in the spring, we need to have our ducks in a row in action, so to speak, for this, but yeah.
I'm thinking like either the next regular meeting or the one after that. That's
I mean,
a month. If we go to the next one, that's a month, and everybody.
End of August, it would be.
Yeah, and then that way gives us time for administration to redraft something. And
yeah.
Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so we will. If you need a recommendation, we'll just pick that date there, and for the August regular meeting, we'll bring it back, and everybody has to take these home.
Regular or cow?
It has to be the regular, because the cow, we can't, we can discuss it, but we can't make it a recommendation.
Well, is there any particular thoughts or opinions or, things that anyone wants to discuss now, so we are all on the same page, I guess, so that makes that process easier, would be my thought, but.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just curious if you could give us an estimate of what an empty lot would be taxed at in this town, or where,
0.39.
but a typical bill estimate.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the lots, because I don't know what it, Corey probably has one.
Downtown vacant commercial, my lot behind my shop, right? I use it as C-Can, it's a lay down yard for my purposes. It's not an empty lot as far as I'm concerned, but I understand that it's taxed as such, because fair enough. But I want to say it was $1,800. So even at the very high mill rate, the assessment is so low, it's still not a very penalizing value because it's such a low assessment, right? I
I'm
mean,
multiplying that by 200%. That would be a hard one to swallow, but okay.
and honestly, if the tax rate did increase a lot, you know what the first thing I would do is put up a cold storage building. I would apply for my development permit and put up a cold storage building to save myself that fee. And now the town has development on a higher assessed lot. I have no need to do that. Yeah, but it wouldn't hurt. Maybe I'll do it just to save the taxes. If there was a reason to, at $1,800 a year, I'm not putting a dime into it because it's more valuable to me as a parking lot essentially. That's what I use it for, right? Like that's.
And these are all the things that we need to be looking at. I mean, I know I don't know how much you want to discuss now, you want to.
Well, I guess it's like if anyone had any particular questions or issues or questions for administration, so we can all be on the same page while we're thinking about it, right?
Continue, I'll start right here, and then I'll just go to everybody who's having any more comments, so that works.
Right way to take notes, your worship.
Sure, so like I believe that, you know, we've given away a lot of money here in these incentives. You know, I'm looking at, I believe that some of them, the tax one, the first one there, I believe it was about $36,000 that we've given away in the last 5 years on some of those units that qualify underneath this. And I don't think as a town that we can afford to give any of that stuff away.
You talking about commercial, Daryl?
Yeah, no, on the residential. Residential.
About 9,000 units.
Yeah.
Over the course of the years.
How many years?
Five.
I think there's
No,
five.
residential is 3 years today.
5 years.
It's
Residential.
Like, I'm all for some incentives, but I mean, not for 5 years.
Well, I guess my biggest point of contention with this has always been like back in 2012 when this first came up, I was actually excited. I thought this would be really good and encourage some development. My actual experience actively dealing with people who are doing building and then being in this room for the last 5 years, I don't know that I can think of a single case where somebody built something because this incentive existed. People built something and they were happy to get their incentive, and that's a little bit of icing on the cake. And everyone's no one's upset that they got a tax break.
And that,
But I don't think anybody made their decision.
nobody did it because of the offense.
So it hasn't actually been the tipping point for a single project that I know of, and I can't think of a single project in town remotely recently that I haven't been at least in some way dealing with the decision maker of the process.
Yeah.
And this has never been, we should do this because there's an incentive. It's we're doing this, and hey, let's get the incentive. So it didn't have the intended effect. We're just giving a tax break, which people like, but at the end of the day, it's not having the intended effect.
Yeah,
I'm okay spending some money.
It was great for
if it's
them.
on development.
it was great for them, but it didn't help us. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
And just wanted to add to the vacant lot thing about, building a definition, of what a vacant lot is versus take a residential lot. You know, you throw a garage on it, now it's not deemed a vacant lot. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a used lot. They just threw a building up, so building an actual definition
And
may be a good idea.
Yeah.
But still,
I agree totally 100% with Corey's saying, like, I mean, the people who built these houses were gonna vote no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's great that they got an incentive, but it didn't really help the town very much.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe, say, Don, how many new houses we're looking at right now? Is there 3 coming proposed?
3 proposed, yeah.
3 proposed, so we need to get this in line before those houses start, otherwise, you know, they're gonna fall into this here, and,
The one will fall into it at the end of this month.
okay, so, yeah, so we need to work on this, so, and that's my point about this whole thing. That's as far as the residential part. On the commercial part, I see kind of the same thing there, you know, some of these businesses that people come in and they buy the businesses, and then they get some breaks because of that. It's great for them, but the business is already here. Well, I see the same thing. And that's my take on it. So that's kind of what I would be proposing when it comes to me when I'm looking at that. So.
But the 3 upcoming new residential builds, did they come in because of the incentive?
do they
partly?
know, do they know if this?
They know.
They already have a building, okay, so the building's already here, and that's different than building a brand new building, in my opinion.
No, but she's saying the 3 new residential,
Yes.
do they know of the incentive already?
Potential.
Yeah, they're aware.
It's on our website and it's been
Yeah.
posted for years.
So I'm wondering if that was part of the drawing card that they're coming to build at Thorsby.
No, we talked to them about that. Some are retiring in in Thorsby because it's cheaper than Calgary. They just saw it and said, why can't we just go for it? We could get some tax on too.
And like I said, that's been my experience over the years, is people say, I'm doing it either way. Hey, that's awesome, I'll take the tax break.
100%.
But it's never a deciding factor in my experience, so.
So that's my two bits in there. Anybody else want to have any comments or stab at it right now?
Well, with the commercial especially, like I do, but I'm kind of an exception. A lot of businesses don't own their building for whatever reason, even if they own it in some way, shape, or form. It might be through a separate holding company or whatever in the title. A lot of businesses would never be able to be eligible either way.
Right, so
Because of the way they structure it in order to lease it, even if they're leasing it from themselves or whatever they're doing. Most businesses just don't outright buy their building directly. Like I said, I kind of can't be bothered playing the games because it's too much work, and I just get frustrated shuffling money around. But I get that there's a benefit in companies to lease buildings rather than buy them, and then the title's not in the right name and they're not eligible either way.
That's a very good point. Like, I mean, the one that we did here already, the person bought the building. Okay.
Yeah, and that's not a very common occurrence.
It's not, so, all right. I think that's food for thought for everybody, so do some homework on that, and we'll bring it back to administration, and we need to get it done and come up with some better policies in there. So,
Isn't the residential one 5 years?
I think it has.
Yeah, but it says in here 3.
I always thought it was 3, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the town hasn't got five.
I could have swore it was 3.
Maybe it was.
It's three in the policy.
I always, yeah, I think you said 5.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Because on the,
Commercial, sorry.
when they built, those new townhouses, they had advertised on the big sign as 5-year tax incentive, so maybe they got a special from the council, I guess.
But I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I said it's $9,000 for 5 years, because I added it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I've always known, it was 3. I'm confused where the confusion came in, but yeah.
You're right, you do 3. Somebody got big, they got 5. All right, so that's the homework for everybody there, and we'll go from there. Next item, city reports. 4.1, bylaw, Barry Rush, please.
Evening, Mayor and Council. My report to you. So for the month of June, my focus has been on the following tasks. So continue to create that reference folder in Maine to accommodate common questions and on certain sections of the land use bylaw, which seems to help for quicker referencing when people come into the office. Work to educate the community on community standards, bylaw, and the target. Some of the topics we talked about in the target were informing the community on boulevards, the do's and don'ts, cutting back branches, that restrict alley access, sidewalks, road access, which remains ongoing. Inform the community on grass cutting requirements, and to not blow to back onto the street, which remains ongoing. Inform the community not to park trailers and utility trailers on the street, which remains ongoing. So working with 5 residents and businesses currently to remove overgrowth of tree branches across alley, which is used to service businesses in the community. The office received 3 more business licenses in the month of June. Sent out 10 notice letters with pictures to out-of-town property owners to maintain yards. Continue to answer ongoing questions around building fences, trees, decks, permitting for residents, realtors, and future resident inquiries. Working to resolve some dog barking complaints for the month of June. Working to find ways to capture 3, I put this in there, but it's a real issue. Working to find a way to capture 3 escaped domestic rabbits that are negatively impacting the residents.
Barry, there's a lot of farm kids around that probably have a really easy solution for that for you.
There's no problem, there's no problem. So, and you're fast. And
But you were-
It was a 22 though, Barry.
I would have known that, I would have stopped.
I see.
So they're domestic rabbits?
Patrolling all areas of the community, including bringing visits to the Lions Campground, trail entrances, playgrounds, and parking lots. And just recently, with all the rain, I did take a couple trips just down to the Weed Creek, just to make sure the banks were doing okay, where our trails kind of run, just to be aware that our banks are quite sandy in areas, and they tend to collapse when we get fast flowing water through them. I continue to receive calls on grass cutting. Made a lot of people unhappy that the grass is growing so fast, and a lot of people aren't excited to cut grass when it's raining. So that's causing a lot of neighbor frustration, but we're working on it. Thorsby Happy Haven has had a new sign installed, so check it out. Worked with local businesses to get the necessary paperwork to complete parking lot paving. And beginning to do some shift work, starting at times of 8:30 to 4:30, or starting time at 10 to 6, or starting time at 11 to 7, just to accommodate different times of the day, so I can speak to residents and do a kind of a more hands-on approach. And then, as you can see, those are the numbers that I recorded for the month of June. Some traffic in there for 3, animal for 4, lots of community standards, stuff related to grass, tree branches, all that good stuff, 29. Land use inquiries, some parking lots, some general inquiries, those total inquiries, written warnings, come for 50 written documents that I'm working on right now. And then, as you can see, I also done some, I did some observed some areas, and the complaints that I received are 13, but the majority of the files that I currently have open are because of the touring in the community and identifying issues and writing them down and going and visiting people and all that good stuff. Sent out 10 notices, order to remedies, and yeah, a lot of files that require a lot of work. And if people would just resolve the issue right away, that would be great. But sometimes they linger on, so working on those files as we speak. So, here to any questions.
Barry, the 3 warnings that you gave for business licenses, what does that mean? People are known to do business but didn't have a license?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not necessarily coming from bylaw, but general inquiries, and then we find out the other. So them coming in, asking a few questions, hey, do you have a business license? Getting a business license, yeah. And there's still a few out there that are doing business, but don't have that business license yet, so I'm trying to capture them. So stay tuned, I guess, for that. So a lot of people just forget. It's all, it's not on their mind, so they just forget. So I keep a watchful eye and trying to capture everything that comes in. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Eric, go ahead.
Barry mentioned this. There are still vehicles parked on the boulevard. I've mentioned it to a previous meeting I attended. Some of them are still there. There's also a vehicle, if you can call it that, parked on the front yard of a house. I think it's 778. It's got no wheels on, and maybe they were hoping the garbage men would collect it. I don't know.
I can't speak about specific files, but I can say a bunch of those being worked on. With regards to the boulevard parking, yeah, some of those are ongoing. Haven't got to all the parking issues yet because a lot of the grass cutting has taken precedence over a lot of the parking challenges, but I am working on a bunch of them. There's back alley challenges, So yeah, some more parking is coming, to remind people to get off the.
So can people just like abandon a vehicle that doesn't have any wheels or anything they just can't leave it in their
Our
yard.
bylaw states only one inoperable vehicle is allowed to be on the property.
But I mean, when it's got no vehicles, no motor, and no
Tires,
tires,
As long as it's on your property, does it matter?
on the front yard,
Oh.
there's stepping.
The backyard, the back.
So front yard, there are restrictions. You can't park on the grass. It's got to be on a hard surface. It shouldn't look maybe like a vehicle you might be implying looks like.
Yeah, so we have a vehicle as a project, they can't have it in a scrapyard.
So it would be fine, like cases would be resolved quickly
yeah.
if we were willing to work with the timeline given, but not everybody thinks that's my business. So I'm working with some residents, it's just taking a little longer.
You can't go tow it off the front yard.
No,
Much of it would
But
be
this is not,
designed.
you only have 48 hours, you can park a vehicle, and then it has to be moved,
72 now.
72.
Yeah,
But that's on a roadway, not on
How
a,
many days
yeah.
on end and it's never moved?
For traffic or people that are part of that, do you mark the tire after 72 hours to see if they move it or not?
No, I want to get to that, I really do, but yeah, grass is the priority right now for me. But yeah, there are some parking stuff I have to really go after. And educating is part of it, but enforcing is another part of it, right? And there's got to be that willingness for them to understand that you can't do that, and that's a bit of a challenge for some to understand they can't do what they want. So it becomes kind of confrontational right away and argumentative right away, but it is what it is, and I've got to follow the bylaw.
So I don't understand what the boulevard parking bylaw, what the deal is with that, what's the,
You can't park on the town property. The town property is the boulevard, the street, so you got to park on
like
the
the
street.
main,
Like on the grassy areas beside the streets. The street ends and there's the grassy area, you can't park on that grassy area, it's not a roadway, you're not supposed to park there.
So
You kind of have to determine where you think the curb would be, and you could probably park on the other side of it, where you think the curb is.
So if you were to just imagine 7 feet from the street to up to your, into your property, that would be considered the boulevard.
Yeah, whether it's got a sidewalk or not.
That's right. Not every place has a sidewalk. So some sidewalks are right up against the curb. Some are, there's a curb and then there's a 4-foot space and then there's a sidewalk. That's all town property.
Like, yeah, like in front of my house, where there's a curb, and there's a huge swath of grass. Sometimes that curb doesn't exist, but that swath of grass still exists.
also people
Whether
are
the curb
parking
is-
on that.
So yes, where I have a curb, it's a very obvious, don't drive over the curb, but if there's not a curb, people just keep going a little further in and a little further in.
Park trailers on the
People are allowed to park their RV and trailers on their driving way, but not on the street.
Correct, it can't be unattached. If they're parking on the street, it can't be unattached, and it's only gonna serve the purpose of why it's there, to load it and get it out.
Oh, I thought they could keep their
It can't be
vacancy.
parked on the street.
Okay, but driveway is,
Driveway is good, or your back is good.
even if it's
You cannot
unattached,
park on the front grass of your property, which that's gonna require a little more work. So. Thank you, but it's fun, and, yeah, so stay tuned. You might hear about a few. I promise we'll get there.
Thank you. Next, Kelly Probity with the recreation, please.
So for the month of June, June 16th, party in the park was hosted at the complex. That was hosted by the Duke County, but in conjunction or support by our staff. Great turnout. Weather didn't cooperate, so it had to move inside, but the field house was packed, so it worked out great. CIB graciously donated their time and did a great fundraiser, which sounds like it went very well for them. Yeah. Before that event, Michaela hosted a Father's Day activity after school for the kids. So Ranchland Meat supported that with some beef jerky packages. The kids made barbecue spice mix and whatnot, and that event was sold out. So that was great for Michaela. Summer program plans were made. Training for our summer students happened. They got their first aid. They attended the Duke County summer program training, as well as another one in Sylvan Lake for the day. Also assisted with the seniors luncheon, which Michaela hosted that on June 22nd. For maintenance wise, capital projects, most of them have been initiated. Replacing the fire panel and the upgrading emergency lighting. That one needs to get done. The fire panel and the alarm panel will need to get done right away. With that Rogers outage last Friday, we're still kind of out there with communication because our alarm panel is done fully by cellular, so we were completely out. So we still have some alarms going off and we're deep and stuff, but I'm assured everything is working correctly. So we'll see. But that's been done. We put a deposit down on all that equipment a little while ago, so it should be coming in. Once it's ordered, it'll be installed. We purchased and received the ice edger from Big Hill Services, and then have subsequently invoiced Thorsby Hockey for their 50% portion of that. I did get a quote for sidewalk repairs, so we have some cracking and we have some areas that were kind of torn out. So to repair all of the sidewalks, it's about $2,000. We can also look at resealing all of the sidewalks, which will extend their life by 10 years. That'll cost about $4,000. And I also got a quote because our south parking lot now is so often it's the first parking lot that's utilized. There's no sidewalk there, so we would like to look at the possibility of extending the sidewalk all the way to that back lot, especially during the winter and stuff. It gets really slick and icy. So that quote came in at $14,000 to do it right from scratch. So looking at some different opportunities, and Barry actually sent me a grant opportunity, so I think we'll look at going for a grant for it. And if not, you'll see it in my budget numbers for next cycle. So ActiveNet software is now 100% operational, in person, online, credit card, debit, everything. All of our registration, summer programming is all online. Jesse's updated the website for us, so it's easy for people to get to it. Thorsby.ca/recreation, and they can get everything for our facility. Still working with Arctic Spas on the sponsorship agreement. It's going really well. I think we're probably in the final stages. And I don't think it's as big a project as what I initially had outlined and closed before. So it'll probably be more stay the course kind of thing, but they're really excited to continue on with that partnership and whatnot. So we just hosted their big staff tournament on Friday, July, but they had over 400 people there. It was packed. So yeah, really good to know. And just with as ActiveNet gets going and utilized, I'll be able to start pulling some stats and different reports. We can see different things. So, and I just put this in, like for the month of June, we had 58 active users.
Is that good? 58?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good, especially for summertime.
Oh,
You know, yeah, it's pretty good. It's good to, it might not be quite a full month, but it's just good to see the number and then, see what it is next month and the month after and how it goes from there. And I also attended training for the summer jobs grant program. So just working on keeping those forms and everything updated. Michaela's not here tonight, obviously. So I'm just going to report her that stuff. She's super busy right now with going to summer programs. And she had a full house today of 20 kids and staff, and she was exhausted by 3:30. So yeah. So for her report for FCSS, June 2nd, she attended a grant writing webinar. For the week of June 13th to 20th, she assisted Carla from Ontario County with Elder Abuse Awareness Week, putting up purple flags around town, having a table at the complex, flowers. We actually had there were surveys there, and we had a huge response from all the seniors that come in our coffee groups, bowling groups, whatnot, and also the seniors function. So they answered all the surveys, and free flowers were given out. She planned and hosted his seniors appreciation lunch from 11 to 1. Had 120 people attend. every single person that registered for that event attended that. Not one person no-showed, and then she had some extra show up too. So it was, yeah, it was done a really great job. Leduc County was there with their staff and assisted with it. And the catering was done by Coffee Facts and Poutine, and they did a fantastic job.
Very good.
Yeah, it was very good. They're actually catering all of our summer programs. They're doing the lunches for all of our kids, which just makes it easier for the parents, and they're charging us such a minimal fee that it was worth adding it into our summer program. So they're really great to work with. She helped the client with some forms that need to be submitted, and she communicated with the county about getting another client getting care.
Any questions? from anybody? Great.
How is the extended hours going?
Quiet.
Okay.
Pretty quiet. Yeah.
Like-
I mean,
You're tracking all that stuff for us, right?
and, it's hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you?
Like, I mean, obviously the memberships can use the fobs at any time. It's the
Yeah.
walk-in foot traffic, which I can't see there being.
No.
I mean, what else is there other than the
If there
gym?
isn't a booking,
Just
yeah.
bowling and birthday parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there is a booking for something, it's not uncommon that they won't see any foot traffic from it. So. And even tonight, I walked by the complex before I came here, oh, there's baseball practice going on, but not a bowl in the complex.
And is the concession, is it open at all during the
They
day?
try to be, if they know baseball going on or soccer, they try to be open. We started a program on Fridays for families, free family Fridays, just to try to bring some traffic into the facility, so the concession will be open for that.
Free bowling, right?
Free bowling, come play basketball, field house, sport hockey, whatever you want to do, 2 hours, the facility's just, they're families only, not for, you know, neighborhood kids to come and have a little party or whatever, but.
So what time is that on Fridays?
Okay, so we just did it last week was the first one, and we had one family come, but we put it up on the board, you know, we gotta get the word out there. So,
Yeah.
Just to try to drive some traffic into the building, and also, oh yeah, we can go to this, or, you know, because it has been closed for so long.
In the field outside.
Field house, bowling, the whole facility.
So this Friday night,
Just trying to get it.
sounds like a wild teen time with the kids.
You sign up
Oh,
for
and
bowling
shoot them,
too.
yeah. I will kick their butt at bowling, okay.
Okay. Public Works, and Charlie.
Councilor Mayor. I apologize that mine's not in there. Had a lot of water.
The new busy.
So for the month of June, of course, dealing with a lot of rainfall, lots of flooding yards, basements. I've had quite a few residents that have told me that they've never seen water come that close to their door before. Other than those that were around in 1990. So I had to focus a lot on how to remove the water from their properties without affecting somebody else further down the road. Learned that it is very difficult unless you have miles of hose. On top of that, we've had lots of trees that have been falling over top of fences, out of our sewage lagoon. And the cemetery has a lot of dead trees, not something I really want to have our young vendor taking care of over there. So Public Works has been trying to take care of taking the big trees down for them. I'm meeting with vendors now that COVID's backed off. They're up and running again, coming out and checking with us. Wolseley really likes us, love coming out here. So, been assisting other departments with their programs that they have going on. So, utilize some of my guys to move tables. Then we had the seniors parking lot, so monitored that and double check the elevations were done We had, the water main break on 50th Ave, finally had that patch there repaired, so sailing over that again. I've been monitoring the river intake road, as well as our river intake building down by the North Saskatchewan. Couldn't quite figure out why we've been getting so much water inside the building. Learned that the hatches around the top of the building actually don't have a seal around them. So when we get that heavy rainfall, it just comes straight into the building. We get a lot of flooding on the floor. It's at present, it hasn't been making its way over into the electrical side of the building, which is a good thing, but we'll have to look at a repair of that. We can seal that building up. The retaining wall down there has let go further. Lots of deterioration on the banks all the way around there. Actually, just down there not that long ago, and on the way back up, I heard the bank let go into the North Saskatchewan as it's coming up the hill. The other project I've been working on is the speed signs. Some of you guys have noticed that they weren't working there for a while. I have the north one working, but I unfortunately don't have the south one working. Those are the original batteries that came with the signs, and they are very plump. Unfortunately, it's not all that they take anymore. So I'm looking, Signs and Barricades, a company called Signs and Barricade has come out, and they're gonna look into possibly upgrading it for us so that it runs a generic lithium-ion battery plug. The Traffic Logics is a company that we dealt with. Is having a hard time getting their supplies for older models. See where that goes, and hopefully be able to get that upgraded and get those signs working again. I'd really like to pull the stats off. That's it for me.
Done. Questions, anybody? Okay, thank you. We will see your interim report.
Thank you, Your Worship. What Mr. Curley didn't tell you when he went to the intake, he took me with him a second time down there, and the road was bad, so we had to park halfway up and walk down and walk back up. So we were both privy to the bank flowing, the trees falling down, all that lovely stuff. It's, I recommend if you absolutely want to get in shape, walk that hill. It's a pretty awesome walk.
The water treatment guys snowshoe it in the winter.
They do, and I'm happy for them. I'm totally happy for them. Andrew's got longer legs, he's wearing boots, I'm wearing running shoes, so it's just a real motley crew going on here. I've asked Andrew to sit with me, because once we get through the middle of my report, we're going to talk about the lift station and so forth as we kind of update you on what happened last Wednesday. So of course, we made a very good decision, I think, administration, to have one person talk about the tax in our office, which was Cindy, and that kept the messaging consistent, and Cindy responded to a lot of queries. Not that we said, oh, we can't tell you anything, it just happened to work out that Cindy was able to keep the messages concise, and it worked. We met with residents regarding development issues, and again, provincial government is 5 months behind. One of the new houses built, they didn't get their title for 5 months, and we're pretty upset. And I just knew that with all the government employees that went home to work, they're still 5 months behind. And it's ridiculous. We can speed up title a tad bit if they're willing to have the landowner or the lot they bought from sign an affidavit and attestation that their lot, so on and so forth. But sometimes that's more of a hassle. So we just waited, and once the building permit is done, their development permit is here, they'll start clearing land for their new home. We provided input into the Lions MOU, and we're awaiting the return document. There've been inquiries into my office from Lion Raymond is purchasing land for extended RV camping and parking, and I've advised him to bring a comprehensive proposal to council for an in-camera discussion as it surrounds land and legal, and there's no anticipated date as yet, so just a heads up. We'll be inviting Nate in August for a meeting about student participation in training within our plant. All of props are on vacation for July, so we've got to wait till August. All our outstanding HR grievances, settlements, legal challenges of past staff have been settled and signed off. Met with Gail from the library, and our staff team will be spending a bit of time in the fall reading to the drop-in reading class regarding each of our job functions, and we'll work with them to find the appropriate books that we can read. Public Works and Andrew will be the luckier ones, because they have all the toys, so they have the easier books to read. I don't know what Cindy's gonna do for accounting. I think I'm gonna have to do
That would
something
be
about,
riveting.
yeah, leadership.
Okay.
Yeah, bring in apples or something and cut them up into quarters.
I have the calculator book at home.
Oh, thank you.
Attended the virtual Reynolds Burst seminar on contract payables, and the Prompt Payment and Construction Lien Act will come into force in August 2022. These regulations are intending to reduce the number of liens filed annually in Alberta by construction companies. They're filed when a party is not paid for work done on the project, and to ensure the payments have been made in an orderly manner, contractors will be required to issue a proper invoice every 31 days, and the owner, that even could be asked, will have 28 days to pay that invoice, or can be subject to an adjudication process. Changes will have significant impacts to our accounts payable and contract management processes if we only pay 30 days. So we'll have to make some adjustments. And as well, if you're a contractor, you have to submit a bill every month. And if you don't bill anyone for 2 years plus a day, your invoice is considered dead. And you can take that person to court all you want, but because you didn't submit an invoice, it's considered dead on arrival. I attended the seniors ribbon cutting parking, and attended the seniors ribbon cutting on a new parking lot. And of course, we're scheduling meetings in July. New Calmar CEO is coming up to have lunch with Cindy and I. Engineering and treatment plant joint meeting, with stormwater assessment, sewage pump station assessment, grant assessment. We're meeting Wednesday about that, and we'll discuss that. I think it's a good time to discuss it right now. As you know, we had a blockage in the line by Madison, and people all read the targets. You know, it was in the blockage. It wasn't very nice. It crews out there all day in the wet, the rain, up to past their waste and raw sewage, et cetera, et cetera. Once we got the blockage completed and blown out about, I think 4 o'clock, I think 4:30, then we found the lift station was overwhelmed. With not only all the water that comes across town into that line, but of course, everything else that had been waiting. We had pumps there, and they couldn't keep up, so they had to order a back truck to get there, and they got to pump station about 10:30 at night. They pumped out 30,000 gallons of water. The water treatment operator was there on station all day and all night because he had to be in contact with Alberta Environment, and the SCADA alarms were going off every 30 seconds. It was pretty crazy. Made sure the crews had supper, made sure the crews had lunch. Did a little digging about when the last time the pumps were maintained, and they haven't been in 11 years. Those pumps at that lift station. So we don't know if they've got impeller issues, bearing issues, or shaft issues. And so we've got to look at that. And Andrew will outline that process. One of the things we want to do before we come to you is we want to have the meeting and outline where we need to go with all this, how it's going to cost, what grants we can have, and then that way you have something to debate and to look at and to change up if you so choose. But we're starting to meet about that because all those lines over by Madison are 10-inch lines. So it's no wonder. So Andrew, take it away.
All right, so we had an estimate done last year in regards to the lift station, to have a crew come in, bring hydrovacs in, actually suck the lift station out and have the hydrovacs running, constantly sucking out whatever's coming in so we can do a confined space entry. Minimum 3-person crew for something like that, plus the hydrovac. So our estimates last year, August 7th of 2021, was $2,625 2,800 for 35 metric tons. So $200 difference. Most other places, we were looking at almost a 35% increase. Have another group other than Cambridge. Their dive will consist of going down inside the wet well of the lift station. Are you guys aware of how the lift station is laid out?
We've not, I've never had a tour of anything.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
So I'll explain to you, it's a split building. So the lower half is split. We have a dry side and we have a wet side. The dry side contains our electrical pumps and all the piping and our valves. The wet side is basically a giant chamber with the shaft that goes down and the impeller that transfers it up through the pipes. We can do a visual inspection of the dry side. You have to have somebody certified to do the wet side, so that's where this comes in. They'll go down, it'll be all sucked out. They will clean the inside, and then they will do video and picture documentation. So they'll be able to tell us from the inside what the state of the wet well itself is, like how the concrete's doing, if there's any deterioration. And then they'll be able to do the inspection on the impellers and give us the kink. They're not certified to do impellers, but they can give us a rough idea of how they're looking. That being said, I've gone down on the dry side, and I don't imagine it's gonna look too pretty on those impellers. I'm looking at the exterior of these pipes, and they're corroded. Like, I'm shocked. For something that's not exposed to the same elements on the exterior, and they look bad.
And you'll be able to see if the impellers are even turning then, or if they're.
Yeah, so the impellers are turning. It's a matter of how much they're actually able to push uphill,
Oh.
right? Because they got to be able to build that pressure up to push the product up through the pipe and keep the pipe pressurized to shift it out to the lagoons. We had so much water. It was unbelievable. It took us a back truck from 10:30 till 2:30 in the morning, plus trash pumps, to try and keep that going so that it didn't continue backing up further into town. So, the other part that we have to take into consideration is, again, our storm water. That plays a huge factor. The environment's changing, and I personally foresee this getting worse before it gets any better for us.
We certainly need to look at a stormwater assessment before we can plan, and that's one of the things we'll be talking about Wednesday, because we have to know what's happening, what's going on, before we can say we need to fix this or that, because we want to have a comprehensive plan to do this, to do what we need to do. We don't want to piecemeal it, we don't want to guess. And so that's part of it. And we have aging infrastructure, but we have to do as much as we can. We got a line on 2 sets of big grants, but we have to do a little more investigation on them that are substantial. But there's no point applying for them yet because we don't know what we need to apply for yet. Jared rode with me all afternoon on Wednesday afternoon, the engineer, and he'll be here tomorrow with us on our meeting at 4 o'clock. And he just shook his head. He said, you're going to have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. The water treatment plant has been asking for these pumps to be inspected and looked at just about every year. And now we're at a crisis point. We have no choice. We have to look at them. We either may have to buy a new pump and rebuild one, put the rebuilt one in, buy another one. Or I don't mean buy another one, rebuild the other one. We don't know yet. So we're speculating at this point, and we're just kind of letting you know what we're all looking for. And so we're going to be putting some substantial time in to make sure we have the proper plan for you and the proper costings. Cindy will be with us on this as well, so we can have all the gap analysis done the actuarial costing. One of the things we want to do with our capital plan this fall is not just give you an Excel spreadsheet. I want to give you a proper plan with notes and language and everything as well, so that you know why and how and who. So that's the kind of interesting stuff we came across. So we're on it, and we have the right folks with us, the right professionals with us to help us. But we have to be prudent about it, and we have to be strategic and about it. We can't just throw caution to the wind and say, well, we'll just patch this, or we'll fix this, or we'll do that. So that's where we're at so far. So once we have our meeting on Wednesday, we're able to build a plan. We'll be back to you with it and let you know what we found out. And we'll give you scenarios, we'll give you options, etc., as to what we need to do. We're of the opinion, so is the engineer, and so is our water treatment operators, that we're into infrastructure here. This is going to be the focus. We're into infrastructure. And we want to make sure that we give it to you right and well and appropriate. So that's what we found out so far. So I can entertain questions on that, Mr. Mayor, before I continue. That's not a problem.
So one other thing, like we obviously know we have issues on that end of things. What about, are we gonna maybe perhaps look at the other end of things in regards to the homes draining into our lines as well? Is that something we're gonna look at?
Oh, that's all the sump pump stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. We are going to talk about that for sure. Absolutely. We're going to look at the stormwater assessment takes into effect the sewer, where every piece of water comes from in the town, where it goes, where it drains. Some of our water goes uphill. It's not of its own volition. So anyway, we're going to look at that, and we'll have pictures and diagrams, and even our engineer has said this is way better than me just drawing colored lines on a map. He said, at least I can get behind this and go. And our water treatment plant operators are 100% on top of this. And also, but it hasn't been for our immaculate standing with Alberta Environment, we wouldn't be able to discharge the 30,000 gallons where we discharged them. We had absolute support from Alberta Environment. They had no hesitation with us because of our impeccable record. And that's thanks to Dave and Don and his crew as well. They just made a phone call and it was just like that. So that certainly helped. So great question. Thank you, Shelley. All right. Thank you. It's not fun, but I'm kind of excited. I truly am kind of excited. I know, I'm a little bit, Andrew and I are pretty excited. Cindy's just going, please just help me out with this. But anyway, it's actually kind of exciting.
I don't know if I'm nearly as excited as you are. Because I know my boots are going to get muddy.
It's better than your.
Not mud, Andrew.
I'm going to just keep telling myself it's mud. That's what I did last week.
Think about it, it's not in your basement, it's just on your boots. Oh, or up to
Oh,
your,
no.
up to your,
No,
or
no.
was it in your basement too?
Oh, yeah, that's what I got to take care of afterwards.
Did you have to swear them out? Like the smell was so bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of the other things that I'll have to look into for the guys, because we should have been fully supplied air packed up to be in those manifolds. We unfortunately don't have that. But to call somebody out, especially in a giant rainstorm, I'm not going to get somebody. So, do you guys have monitors on you as well?
Do you guys have the training for that?
Don't tell Duke County, but yes.
Do we have the training?
I have the training.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I have the
Confined space, yeah.
We'll get more monitoring gear and that sort of thing. It was interesting because we had to, we were really close to calling a sewer flusher. It was close. By 4 o'clock, we just looked at each other, all of us, and went, this is nuts. We're not getting this. We're not getting this blockage. And so worked with Andrew and found a company. And I don't know, just as they said, yes, they get a truck out right away, the blockage decided that.
Yeah, after calling 8 different companies,
Yeah.
trying to find somebody that was available, and then the one company that said that they would come out called me back right away, and they're like, oh, you're in town? Oh, we don't have a big enough truck for that. I'm like, no, small ice. And I'm like, oh, okay, we can do this.
So we will have more information from you. We're not going to leave you hanging. We're not going to leave anything out. We want to be able to come to you with good information. So basically, the new permitting is into Alberta Transportation for the new location of the digital sign, the addendum. So wait for them to come back, and then the sign company can put the new sign up where it's supposed to go. I've been meeting with a lot of residents at their homes to help them understand any bylaw concerns or water concerns. We've had complaints of brown water and working with water treatment plants, some that are sediment. We have old pipes and leaks that we may not be, and it's distressing to residents, so I spend the time with them. I go out and see them, and I have no problem with them. We're working with one resident, she's disabled, and she's a hot water tank, so we're working for grants for her to get her new hot water tank, and Kayla's working with her on that. We finalized the reports that were not completed by the administration to the government, and I just finished 2 today, 1 more to go. Finalized the country cannabis requirements for AGLC. They came back to us and wanted their development permit changed a little bit and their business license changed. It was just a formality. It did not affect us. We approved a new house build development permit. Contract planner, glad we had her because there was a whole bunch of issues with setbacks. There was issues with placement of the home on the lot, etc. So I mean, it's good to have that. We also have an addressing problem with the town. So on this latest development permit, we had to use the land location. So the planner can fix some of the addressing issues. So it's legal, just doesn't look pretty. 3 inquiries for potential new businesses in town, and once development permits have been signed, they can be identified, and it's advantageous to us to have Liz with us. The last one that was inquiring had a lot of sophisticated questions, and I was on the line with her. She was talking to them, and she gave some great answers and was able to handle a 5-person call that we're all trying to ask questions at once. Met with a resident that experiences flooding due to CP rail runoff from the right-of-way, and this is the thing with contracting CP rail. I contracted CP rail first as well and said your right-of-way is flooding out residents in our town, and gave them numbers to call. Unfortunately, it does come off their right-of-way. I talked to many residents about flooding in basements. It gave me a chance to talk to them about what we do and regional water and call their insurance company and so on and so forth. I said, I'm sorry you have to call your insurance company, but that's the way it is, and that's what needs to happen. And the engagements are pretty positive. They're mad at first and, you know, pretty upset, and I can't blame them. We've had inquiries of when the drainage ditch will be cleaned up too. We got trees in it, and that's the subject of meetings tomorrow too. We have to discuss that. We got to look at the drainage ditches around the rec center too. They need to be kind of dug again and reseeded. They're not draining properly. We now have 2 contractors that are local that provided us with their information, so we can use them on a rotating basis to cut on site leads or commercial lots if they fail to maintain, if the lot owners fail to maintain the lots, and we'll use them on a rotating basis once the order has been enforced. We're continuing to map the server. I'm going to say this for a while. Yeah, it's going to take the better part of the summer. We've done a thorough review of the 28 policies passed with the last administration. And we have some rescinding to do because there's some errors in them. It's not a complaint or it's not a negative comment. We just have to bring them up and fix the errors. So we'll be asking for this rescind so we can adjust them. And we'll bring them in a more orderly fashion, not 28 at once. It's my goal to start bringing at least 1 or 2 bylaws, a council meeting, and at least 1 or 2 policies, starting with your financial policies per cow. So that you have some time to look at them, because we do have to have all your financial policies built before the next budget cycle, which is starting in the 1st of October. And I'll help Cindy by keeping her in your office and not opening the door. And we recognize that the documents are on the server. We get that. It's just that we have to find them. That's our big challenge. So we also have to find bylaws. We know when they were all signed, but we can only put stuff on the site, on the website that has signature to them. So we're looking for that too. And anticipated with council, with Minister Chandra regarding the provincial policing matter. And that's it for the month of June.
Thank you, that's a lot. Well, I could go on, yeah, you probably have to wait. Anybody have any other questions for David Long? No? Okay, and then, last but not least, no pun intended.
I know, I get it all the time.
CFO, then you have a.
You hurt his feelings, you thought he was pretty clever there.
I was so excited when I got married because my name changed to Guy. I'm like, I moved up the alphabet and I shortened it. And then I carved it back. Yeah, so obviously. I did the basic stuff that I always do, so I'm not gonna read it out. And I'm getting payables filed and entered into GP. I am about 60% done. Woo-hoo. Yeah, whew. It is taking longer than I thought because GP is not quick. That I have discovered. It takes a long time to post stuff that prints 8 reports every time I do a batch posting. So, I'm 60% done. So 4, and if it kills me, I will have it done. For the next council meeting, I won't be here. I'll be via phone from a picnic table in Penticton, but I will have the report for you and variants and stuff. So, I think the biggest thing was just dealing with residents, property taxes and utilities, tracing the BMO payment, and now we've created a bigger mess. BMO and all their wisdom, because we didn't have that posted because we didn't get it until after the property tax notices went out. So BMO paid 2 years worth for everybody this year. So now we have to refund BMO the excess payment. I didn't really want them so, but they went out anyway. We'll get it all fixed. Yeah, that's it. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Questions? So, is there a recognition to accept the CAO and CFO reports for information?
CFO and CAO report that.
All in favor? Item here is, before we talk to the gallery, here is 6.1, Leduc County. So I just received a letter from the Leduc County Council, and it says that Leduc County Council recently reviewed and approved the town Thorsby 2019 Recreation Library Cost Share Audit Statement. Final payment amount of $60,000 is being directly deposited to our bank account. So that's great news. So that's been going on for quite a while. They also go on to say Leduc County is also pleased to provide the 2022 cost sharing operation contribution in the amount of $201,528 to be direct deposit into your bank account as well. The county is proud to be a partner in this service provision. Okay. That's it for that. And then, so now we get into the gallery, and I see Mr. Andrew Vodchenko. Thank you for waiting patiently, sir. You have the floor here. Go right ahead.
Okay, my name is Andrew Vodchenko, and some of you guys know me, running for UCP last time. I met Corey knocking at his business there, met some of you guys, a lot of familiar faces, some of you talk on the phone. So I was going to talk to you, but before I start talking about myself, I actually want to commend and thank you guys for an absolutely amazing meeting you have here. It's very productive and engaged, and I go to a lot of counties and town meetings, and I absolutely love being here. It's very kind of friendly, group work, and sounds very productive. So you know, big applause to you guys. So okay, so about myself. I run 3.5 years ago against Mark Smith, and then, you know, when I lost to Mark, I joined his team, and that's when I met a lot of people here. I'm running again, and the reason I want to see council, the reason I want to talk to towns and counties, first of all, to introduce myself, for you guys to ask questions about my background, my successes. And also the most important thing is just to see, you know, if whoever's going to win this nomination is going to be our next MLA. That happened last 46 years. So it's kind of an important step in the process. And if I win, I would like to know, you know, what to work on. I would like to know what you guys want to put in my platform so that I can make an official platform. I would like to know there's files that they stagnated and that you guys work with Providence that I can maybe get on and help you guys promote them and lobby through the government for you guys. I'm not running for paycheck. I'm stepping down. I'm a business owner. I own a couple of businesses. I own a land development company, I own a construction company, and I'm a realtor for the last 22 years now. So I'm a busy guy. I'm kind of 16-hour-a-day guy. I get up 7 in the morning, go to bed after I get my emails done, at 11:30 at night. So I'm running to make a difference, make change, to raise bar for MLAs. I want to be the most productive and most approachable MLA you guys have. I know it's a big, shoes to fill with Diana McQueen and then Mark here, but I want to make a difference. I want to be hardest working. I want to be approachable. I want to be most productive MLA that there is here. So this is the reason why I'll come and introduce myself. I came from Ukraine. I spent my 1/3 of my life living in Odessa, Ukraine. Came here when I was 15. I'm 45 today. Not today, but in June. And I spent 2/3 of my life here. So I've tasted, communist regime, and I've also enjoyed free life in Canada here. And unfortunately, with our federal government, I see a lot of what I saw back home. And he admittedly, openly admires China's regime, right? And that scares me. And this is the reason why I put my name forward. So if there is anything that I can put on my agenda, if you guys have specifics that I can work on, I would like to either, if you guys don't tell me now, write it down, or maybe send me an email. If I win, I want to hit the ground running. If there is a old project that you guys were working on and couldn't push through the government, I would like to see that and maybe have another meeting to kind of, if I win, to sit down with you guys before I get inaugurated so I can work on those files. So if you have any questions, I don't want to take a lot of time because I know it's not about me here, it's about your council here, about town. But if you have any questions, I'll go quickly. I started real estate 22 years ago. I'm a developer, land developer for the last 15 years. I developed over, I would say, 650 700 acres. I built a whole bunch of homes last 15 years, anywhere between 4 to 10 of the busiest years I had. I sit on a lot of boards. I sat on Alberta Ukraine Advisory Committee that was appointed by government of Alberta. I sit in a lot of chamber of commerce boards, including Alberta Ukraine Chamber of Commerce. I'm involved and busy trying to be productive in society, hardworking skills, and very approachable. I don't want to be treated as official MLA. I want to be treated as, a part of the team. If somebody has a question, just call me. I'll be always here. I'll never say no. If it's my schedule, we'll have to, we'll schedule times, but I'll do as much as I can to accommodate you guys.
You sound extremely busy. Are you gonna have time to be an MLA?
When you are appointed to the MLA,
Yes.
you have to assign all your business to a third party.
Okay, good.
Okay,
to know.
and I've already lined that up. I have a team that run my, I open up my nominations running right now, so I don't need to do that business right now, so. Yeah, you have to.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Anybody have any questions, anybody want to discuss with them? Thank you very much for your.
Thank you.
For
Yeah,
taking the time.
and if you have questions, I gave you my contact info. You can always reach me out. You can friend me on Facebook as well, if you guys like, and I'll see what I do. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ladies in the back, do you have any further questions?
We're already on his list of help.
Thank you, Andrew. Excellent.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the actual offer is also, careful what you ask for. Help me out a little bit. Okay, thank you guys. Have to run. I have another meeting by with you tonight. So, thank you very much and see you next week.
Thank you. Okay, so that kind of concludes it. We don't have any everything in camera today, so I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, you're gonna adjourn? What do you have?
It's been on my mind for a while, and I just wanted to know, would I be able to have a goat in my backyard?
Who can answer that question? Corey can.
The current bylaw says no.
Okay.
We had looked at right before election, we had talked about it at length and looked at different options, and it's hard to say you're best of both worlds, and we have stronger rules in that regard than Edmonton. But the way the rules are, no, you actually can't. I personally think that would actually be okay. I don't see why you can't. It's, I don't know, it's gonna organically, it's gonna cut your grass, it's gonna fertilize your lawn. This all seems wonderful to me. But no, the way the bylaws are,
I
you
don't
can't.
want my neighbor to have a goat.
Andrew, what's the comment?
Can I have some for public works so I stop getting them
Oh,
all?
Yeah, but technically, no, as a-
Sheep are less destructive than goats.
Sure, whatever, something to go through grass.
Saskatchewan used to have a herd of sheep.
They still do.
Yeah,
They
they
do
do.
in the spring again.
I don't know how
They have a whole pile of corral units. It's actually pretty cool.
Yep.
And I just moved them along in sections.
You look at that for next year.
What did you find?
No, they have a
Yeah.
shepherd.
They do. And
Yeah,
so-
it's not corral. They have a shepherd and a dog. So
Sorry.
they move them around through the field.
Yeah, for the odor sections, I've seen the one that they have, closer, in town limits. It's actually like a unit that just pops this gate open and the door opens and allows them out in that area. And it just sits there for a while. That's what I see.
I've seen it, but okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the shepherd and the dog and them freely roaming.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, in town.
Anything else?
No goat.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
John, all in favor? Sure, thank you all.